Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
So the big challenge is, how can house owners like you and me get a flood-free home? How can business managers like you and me get a flood-free company? And how can public servants provide flood-free critical infrastructure and livable cities?
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe. This podcast is for foresighted and proactive people who do not want to shovel the muddy water out of their room while standing in the midst of the disaster.
Therefore, those who design and plan, the architects and engineers, need to construct such buildings and cities, and that even when the entire environment is completely flooded. That is a challenge, and this podcast will give the answers.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
Today I want to reveal the 3 reasons why sandbags are not the flood protection you think. Do you still remember when the heavy rain was hitting your area the last time, when the weather report has announced heavy rain and probably flooding, and then the bad weather came and the flooding showed up in your territory, in your area, hopefully not in your house. But what happened to many houses, what we currently see all over the world, in Melbourne, in Sydney, in New York, in Brazil, in New Orleans, in Europe, in Germany, in the Philippines, in Vietnam, in Dubai, and at so many places all around the world, in Kenya as well. I don't want to spare Africa. So climate change is really hitting and shaking the planet. So what can we do to protect our beloved ones first? When you are a homeowner and your furniture that you have purchased with your hard-earned money, and if you are a business manager, you want to protect your inventory, all the raw material that you purchased with your hard-earned budget, and of course the employees and visitors perhaps of a shopping mall or in a hotel, or the public citizens using the subway or the bus, or working in the transformer station or in power plants or the water treatment plants, pumping stations, and so on and so forth when it comes to public facilities. So, the 3 reasons why sandbags are not the flood protection you think. Reason number 1, it is a very labor-intensive process. You have to fill the sandbags, you have to transport them from A to B. You have to place the sandbags in a very labor-intensive and consuming time, effort, and you need a lot of manpower, of course. Do you want to fill sand into sandbags and transport the heavy sandbags for several meters to place them correctly during 8 hours? Because that is what you definitely have to do. You need sometimes hundreds, if not thousands, 10,000, 100,000, millions of sandbags to protect an entrance, a garage, for instance, main entrance of a door, garage, basement parking, or a whole municipality. And in emergencies, time is critical, and traditional sandbagging falls short in efficiency. So, number 2, the second reason why sandbags are not the flood protection you think, that is a short lifespan. Whether made from burlap or polypropylene, sandbags don't last long. Exposed to the elements means sunlight, water, wind, floating debris, garbage, dirt. They deteriorate very quickly. And with a lifespan of just 8 months to a year, that is long already, they are not a sustainable solution for flood defense. Reason number 3 why sandbags are not the flood protection you think, they are prone to leakage. Despite all the effort that goes into sandbagging, water often finds its way through. The pressure from floodwaters can cause bags to tear or leak, defeating the purpose of using them in the first place. Think about when you were swimming, when you learned swimming in a swimming pool or at the sea or in a river. When you were diving, wasn't there a small pain in your ears? That was a water pressure. And that told you the deeper you go, the more the pain is. And that is why you did not want to dive that deep. And that is the same with a water column. When the water is rising in the street, the water pressure is also increasing. And this pressure, the higher it is, will press the water into your house, into your room, into your basement parking, into your factory. So I always say every building deserves the best flood protection. Why not yours as well? So what is the alternative? Modern flood barriers, of course. So what is modern flood barriers? Let's do a fact check. Easy to deploy, even by a single person. Durable, with a lifespan of 50 to 100 years with a good maintenance, and designed to prevent water leakage effectively. So what kind of barriers am I talking about? There are four groups of flood barriers that fall under this definition. The first group are the temporarily installed barriers. We call them the portable flood barriers because you can transport them from A to B whenever you need them. Demountable flood barriers, mobile flood barriers to protect the perimeter and to redirect water, for instance. That falls under this category. The Inero mobile flood barrier is a mobile flood barrier. The RS demountable flood barrier is a demountable flood barrier. That is group number one. Or a Windows cover flood barrier is a portable flood barrier. You only install it when you need it. Group number two are all kind of doors and gates that protect by swinging. That means there is a sealing system and a mechanism, hinges that withstand the pressure of the water and of floating debris. And group number three are all automatic flood barrier systems like drop-down barriers, rising flood barriers, flipping flood barriers, pivoting flood barriers, sliding flood barriers. All these automatic systems are under group number three. And group number four, finally, are permanently installed glass barriers. You need that, or you perhaps have seen that in the aquarium, of course. Next time when you go to the zoo and there's an aquarium, just have a look to that. And you can install them in front of five-star hotels, in front of the breakfast room, because what do you want if you are the guest and you spend the money for a lovely weekend with your partner, and then you want to have a nice breakfast, you want to enjoy the view to the sea, and then what you see? Concrete. Because the owner installed a concrete wall in front of the window, and because he was afraid about the flooding. No, you don't need to do that. You install these glass barriers. And the glass flood barriers, they allow you to enjoy the view to the horizon, and you can see the sunrise perhaps. You can see the people walking around at the beach, probably while you take your breakfast. That is group number four. So portable flood barriers is number one. Number two, doors and gates. Number three, automatic flood barrier systems. Number four, permanently installed glass barrier systems. So why stick to temporary fixes when long-term solutions are available? Let's prioritize safety and efficiency in our flood preparedness efforts, and call the flood experts, call the RS flood experts today. That is my message, that we can have a look on what you are doing, and then we can help you, and you can select and find the best solution that fits to your purpose, to your needs. And you can send an email as well to support@rsfloodcontrol.com or go to thefloodexperts.de. And as always, stay safe and flood free.
I wish and hope for you that you make the right decisions when it comes to your personal flood protection. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast channel if you haven't already. Now it only remains for me to wish you a good day. Do something with it. Maybe until the next podcast episode. I would be very happy. See you then. As always, stay safe and flood free. Your Andreas Klippe and the whole Flood Experts team.
it again with the new episode of Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood Andreas Klippe, German engineer, book author, and head of the flood experts. What can Dr. Flood Andreas Klippe protect for you? Anytime? Worldwide? Contact us or just click through to www.floodexperts.de/bonus. Detailed engineering. German quality. Safe. Flood protection secrets. The secrets you'll want to unfold.
Don't forget, you're only one flood barrier away.
Subscribe to the season, and you'll never be late for an episode.